Greetings from Shadow. Sometime between the year 1051 and 1057, Ban's sleep, a young man was rushing through the streets of Malaz city to go and help out a friend who was holding off a bridge on his own against Napan Marines. Before he could get to the bridge, he was interrupted by another lad who looked eager for some aggressive negotiations. This seemed like a fated meeting of two individuals more commonly known to Malazan readers as Dancer and Kaul. Dancer would go on to become the Empire's Imperial Master Assassin and form the Empire's extremely lethal assassin group, the Talons, while Kaul will become the High Mage of the feared and legendary mercenary company, the Crimson Guard, and he will form the company's assassin group, the Veil. Now, for some whatever reason, humanity has always been morbidly fascinated by the idea of some deadly assassin emerging from the shadows to delete some random unsuspecting VIP with extreme prejudice. This is no different in the Malaverse. Smash a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to listen to some random guy talk about fictional characters while you're washing your dishes, cleaning your broom or something. In the timeline of the most popular of the Malazan stories, the Book of the Fallen series, we interact with assassins in and around the Malazan Empire. But I want to reach a bit into the time before the Empire and move to the latter stages of the Malazan Empire. Fun fact, but if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section. I think Hood's wife was the first victim of assassination in the hands of Erastus the Errant and Knuckles, which will probably make them the original assassins. And no, before you go into a frenzy about Enesdia and Arist's wife, hers was straight up murder. Anyway, Rick's squad or troop of Tiste Andy warriors, the Night Hunters, were referred to as assassin mages when they descended to wage war on the Assassin's Guild in Darujistan from Moonspawn. Tiste Andy are a race near enough to ascendancy as can be, right? I mean, I can't call them ascendants because they can be killed, but they are long-lived as ascendants, and they've probably been used by Rick in his purposes since they moved over from Galain to the mortal realm. While Kalor's personality as a ruler seemed like the type not to keep a legion of hidden knives around, especially after what he did to the mages who defied him and the entire population. Also, his journey to Malaz Isle to try and kill Nightchill just gives off the vibe that he doesn't delegate his murder, you know what I mean? Gods, Kalor is just the embodiment of the fact that political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. While there is no evidence to support that they had assassins among them, the clan Imus seemed very assassiny. Is that even a word? Assassinish. Okay, I guess I'll use that one. Or assassin-like. Yeah, that's better. They seemed very assassin-like unless they were hunting Jagut, which made them very animated despite them being undead for countless millennia. Also, I suppose to create and hold an empire as vast as the First Empire required the Simbelakis to have at least a few assassins at hand for missions of quelling rebellions and such. Though, as a man or ascendant who wielded chaos himself, he could as well be similar to Kalor. Let's not forget that despite being made into legends and myths, these old rulers were insanely ruthless when it came to acquiring and maintaining their power, so nothing can really be ruled out. Skipping from the First Empire to the immediate pre-Malazan Empire times on the continent of Kontali, probably where the art of snuffing out people's lives was perfected, there were quite a few kingdoms and principalities which had fun keeping a few murderous pets about. In Greece, it seemed their leadership was in itself comprised of assassins, because the period right before the Malazan Empire, one half of the twin rulership of Greece, Male, seemed to be quite the master assassin herself, because she trained Possum, who would become quite a capable assassin, in fact capable enough to become Claw Master after the continent of Kwon was annexed by Kelanved and his forces. Possibly during, Male was conscripted by Nassin to run the Imperial Claw Academy in Unta, which means she must have exhibited some kind of prowess for Nassin to acknowledge her. Across the coastline to Itkokan, there were the Nightblades, sworn protectors of the Canis throne, and whatever puffed up Chulalon had their crack on the seat. But friends, don't let that fool you. The Nightblades were always a paired up bunch who were extremely well trained and had elite level discipline when it came to the application of their craft. They clashed with Dancer on the rooftops of Liheg and were quick to note who his sensei was, meaning they had clashed with him countless times in the past, for the continent was a place haunted by its past disruption, a place that churned out more history than it could consume. It had extraordinary achievements, and catastrophic malfunctions. Speaking of Dancer's master, in my opinion, the legend that he was probably more long-lived than the stories said. Farouj, a legendary master assassin so skilled in the art of silent death that he probably fathered the assassin tradition in the Kontalian continent as the hidden knife of whoever occupied the Talian Iron Crown for at the very least 3 generations. Whether he operated solo or in a group was unknown, but he was a one-man academy, one-man army who also churned out some pretty generational talents, as can be seen in Dancer. He could both read warrant signals and counter them. He trained Dancer on cut-pass skills, infiltration, rope techniques, and fighting up to 8 trained foes at the same time. Basically what I'm saying is Farouj trained a talent that would one day become the patron god of the assassins in shadow. In my book, I draw similarities with the old man in the mountains, across the pond to the Jenabakan continent and its jewel Darujistan. They had an assassins guild in which those in the trade within the city could congregate and get jobs. This guild concept seemed to have existed long before the empire because the guild master was an ascendant demon who was millennia old, and the powers that be in Darujistan sanctioned the existence of the guild to act as a deterrent to the politicians, because restraint is a virtue only if there is an alternative, and here the alternative was death. Back to Kontali, when 2 enterprising youths chosen by the age, one of them being Dancer, a quite capable assassin, in fact so capable that he feared absolutely nothing. He rushed a damned charging hound of shadow, an act that seemed to surprise even Kellanved himself. Dancer was obviously unmatched in both ability and cunning, and his partnership with Kellanved seemed to only take him to higher levels, especially with the insane ventures they went on. It is no wonder that they created a template for partnerships such as that across the land. Dancer inadvertently formed a group of young, extremely talented outcasts in the image of himself and Kellanved, who were skilled in deep cover and assassinations to threats outside the empire. This group was the Talon, a group so secretive that they persisted and infiltrated high ranks in Lassine's empire long after she had taken power and used her claws to purge the empire of them. The Talons produced some serious talents, and it created blood bonds that transcended generations, and as evidenced by Throat Sliter, it seemed that some of them underwent denul rituals to live long enough to pass on their secrets. While the Talons took in outcasts hardened by life and experience at a young age, at the formation of the Claw on Malaz Isle before the expedition to Nap Isles, Lassine seemed to only take the most talented of the recruits on Malaz Isle and harden them through training. It is a common misconception that when the claws were formed, Lassine was aware of the existence of the Talons, but there is still actually no evidence to support that. In fact, it is quite the opposite. There were already Talon spies in the claws at its formation. Both organizations seem to have mutually exclusively served the empire, but the fallout meant that there was simply no room in the empire for both to coexist, especially with the betrayals. While specialist mortal assassin mages started to appear as early as Cowl, who became near ascendant himself once he joined the Crimson Guard and became an avowed soon after. Imagine a high mage of Rashan killed in the delivery of death, powered by an immortal vow leading a cordon of fellow avowed mage killers on your city. Speaking of mage killers, there is Absala, who was possessed by a very potent killer god who, when exorcised, left a blueprint of his shadowy killer nature. This is shown when she and Kalam purged the claw on Malaz Isle in 1165 Ban Sleep. And by the way, do you think Shalmozin's 3 mage kings and had their own assassins, or one or more of them was an actual master assassin mage? I've been your host, the tree-dwelling Aslan, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.